And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for stopping by in the Coliseum, where today we're ranking all the Omicrons from best to worst for every game mode for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes this month of February 2024. I want to thank everybody who supported and liked the last time we did this video in August 2023. And although it may seem like it was a minute ago, really there hasn't been too many things that were added in terms of the Omicrons. But if you want, there's a link down below where you can download this graphic onto your holopad, and you can read along with me while we break down all the new changes, the additions, the ups and downs that were some of the Omicrons since the last time in August 2023. So really, since the last time I made this video, the biggest highlights were Malicos, Gideon in terms of Conquest units, the last parts of the layer requirements, and of course the Bo-Katan requirements. So this is more wrapping up the end of 2023 and getting us ready for where 2024 is heading with the new Gungans, which we're not ranking now because we still don't know how good they're gonna be. Now, in case you're new to the Omicron series, I always like to put out this little tidbit of information. How should you invest your Omicrons? To keep it short, sweet, and simple, I believe 60% of your Omicrons should be going towards Grand Arena, maybe even more. And if you want to be a good Territory War Guild member, I'd say maybe 40% of your Omicrons should go to Territories, but I wouldn't disagree if you want to go 80% Grand Arena, 20% Territory Wars. However, the most important thing is I would not recommend investing in too many Territory battles, as well as Conquest Raid Omicrons. I would try to stay away from the Conquest and Raid Omicrons, period, because they just don't hold almost any value. So let's start off with what I believe to be the bread and butter of Galaxy Heroes, Grand Arena. So let's start off with the S tier. The Omicron's the creme de la creme of Galaxy of Heroes. And what we have new on this list is Malicos, with his two unique abilities, Echo of the Fallen Order, as well as Strength is Power. These are the must-have Omicrons for Malicos. I recommend all three of his Omicrons. Very rarely do I recommend all three, but for him, each additional Omicron gives him a massive boost in power. But at minimum, you really need the two that we have here in the S tier category. And we also have the addition of Bo-Katan Mandalore, throwing in her leadership Omicron, which gives the Mandalorians even more absurd power inside the Grand Arena hemisphere. She has a revive mechanism, so much more ancestral resolve. You get the pre-taunting mechanisms, you get the extra speed on top of it, tons of max health, all that other stuff. But I will say this, and please don't hurt me, hurt Gary if anything, I'm demoting Wampa from S tier to A tier. Please don't hate me. Of course, A tier is still very, very good, but by no means do we live in an era anymore where Wampa is like the greatest Omicron of all time. A lot of ways to box out the Wampa, especially in Kyber 1. Wampa loses a lot of steam, and I really get to use the Wampa. Still very good nonetheless, but definitely was time for demotion, which as you can see is indicated in red. But new to the A tier category for Grand Arena Omicrons is going to be Malicos and Bo-Katan yet again. As mentioned with Malicos, I would highly recommend you invest as many Omicrons as possible. Yes, it's expensive, but boy, you're going to get the mileage. He's used in so many different lineups and he's absolutely amazing. He's like the star killer of Conquest units, if that makes any sense, where he can be used in so many different fashions and he's just so much fun to use. So Die Whelp, I would recommend putting it in the A tier category. You don't super need it, but it's really nice. And then we have Bo-Katan's unique ability Omicron for Mandalore. Definitely nice. I wouldn't say it's super necessary, but it's totally nice having the ability for her to be immune to daze. She can ignore taunt effects, and she can ramp up her health and offense so she can carry the battle. And we're going to notice an increase for the Tuskens as well as a decrease. We used to have Tusken Chieftain inside the A tier category, and spoiler, we dropped it down to C tier. Unfortunately, the meta has not evolved nicely in favor of Tusken Chieftain. It was nice for a little bit having Boba Fett Son of Jango do some pretty nice stuff in Grand Arena, but it quickly got outdated. Way too many easy ways of handling it. More specifically, the stupid Padme cheese basically made the Tusken Chieftain a bad Omicron investment. The Tusken Warrior Omicron, we're jumping up to A tier. If there is a go-to Omicron, it's going to be this one, so we're kind of flipping them around a little bit. And let's talk about the B tier category for Grand Arena Omicrons. Not too many new things in there, mostly upgrades, but in terms of the new thing that we have here, gonna be Bo-Katan Mandalore. Her third Omicron on her special ability reinforcements have arrived. This is more of a luxury thing. I don't think it's necessary to get all the full power out of her. It's still nice to have, don't get me wrong. More importantly, if a Mandalorian ally wasn't able to assist, they get a bonus turn, mainly trying to give Beskar Mando a chance to get out there and get his whistling birds out. We have two upgrades on the list. We're bumping Rose Tico from C tier to B tier. We're seeing that she's in 5v5 specifically. She's kind of a nice addition to the fifth member of the Resistance crew with Zori. Necessary? No, but it definitely increased the probability of beating Night Sisters, not letting Sisters get through, not letting Imperial Troopers get through. That tenacity up is kind of a big deal. We're bumping up Saw Gerrera as well. Since the introduction of Captain Rex, we're seeing that Saw gets a little bit bit more love out of a Captain Rex Saw combo. So definitely a nice improvement to Saw. I think it's definitely worthy of bumping him up at least one tier. And then lastly, we have the C tier category where the new thing is the Stap, and I left a little bit of a question mark. We've only had a 3v3 Grand Arena testing cycle with the Stap, and unfortunately in 3v3, it doesn't seem to be a great addition so far. Wampa can still beat the Stap and Grievous in 3v3 Grand Arena. It does minimize success rates for Bad Batch a little bit, but the fact that Wampa can still get through Grievous in 3v3 no matter what the Stap is with Grievous, not a good sign. 5v5, we're just about to enter 5v5. Things could change. So next time I make this video, we're gonna have a lot more input on Stap. If the Stap can shut down the Wampa, this might be a B, A tier Omicron, but I'm not seeing it just yet to be S tier unless it's gonna be able to beat some Galactic Legends potentially in 5v5 Grand Arena. So stay tuned. I think we're at the floor, but I think we have some room to grow. Fingers crossed 5v5 turns out well. And then of course Tusken Chieftain is in the C tier category, getting downgraded from the A tier. Unfortunately, the fact that this is only a 3v3 Omicron and the fact that it's tied to Boba Fett's side of Jango, one of the worst Conquest units, isn't a great Omicron that stood the test of time. So I would recommend probably not investing in this one. So that wraps up for the Grand Arena segment. Let's go into the second most important PvP game mode, Territory Wars. Couple of new things really happened here. I feel like there was a bit more impactful things here. So starting up with the S tier, the top of the top, we got a one downgrade here as we're going to mention, but the addition of Kelleran Beck and Beskar Gideon has been a big push inside of the Territory War meta, where Kelleran Beck is the newest hotness on the Territory War block, taking basically the Qui-Gon philosophy, supercharging it, and it's quite a deadly team where a lot of people get a little scared to use normal stuff, and oftentimes people throw Galactic Legends just to get through Kelleran Beck. I suspect it's going to sit here for quite a bit of time. And then of course we have Beskar Gideon himself, or Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. People get mad when I call him Beskar Gideon. Okay, you're technically right, but I'm also technically right. Shadow Contingency and the Dark Trooper Beskar armor is what I would recommend for Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. That leadership ability, being able to get extra max health by 75%, extra mastery, 30 extra speed, tons of cleansing anytime someone's doing a taunt, crazy amount of buff to spells. Yeah, it's a really solid lead. If you care about Territory Wars, this guy's a lot of fun in Territory Wars. And then of course his unique ability, Dark Trooper Beskar armor, primarily gives it even more protection recovery by 100%, pre-taunting capabilities that can't be dispelled or prevented. So it's mostly getting that pre-taunt capability is kind of important out of him because you want him to absorb all the heat. I don't normally like Conquest Territory War units. Gideon's kind of my exception. I didn't like Trench, I didn't like Boba Fett. I do like Gideon quite a bit. But we did drop one out of the S tier status. We took down Captain Phasma a notch. Still, again, a good Omicron. I don't think it's top tier anymore. Still a lot of ways to utilize Phasma to run like almost a perpetual turn meter train. At times, we use Phasma in places Premier Kyle Ren in select instances. So again, not everything's going to stay on the top. Meta moves. Phasma, I don't think she's going to be staying on the top of the game much longer. And then we have Beskar Gideon's third Omicron here, which kind of feels a little Reva-esque, where you get a lot more turn meter removal and you get the healing immunity that can't be dispelled or resisted. And lastly, the new thing on the B tier for Territory War Omicrons is IG-12 and Grogu. It's a nice Omicron, but I'm not sure if we're going to see this as kind of a necessity moving forward if you want to get more use out of your Bo-Katan Mandalore, because she doesn't have her Grand Arena Omicrons. You know, it's nice. You know, Grogu gets bonus turns, resets some cooldowns, calls extra allies to assist. I wouldn't say it's necessary. It's definitely a luxury plus type of Omicron. And then I'm just going to quickly go through territory battles and Conquest and the raids. The new things here is Paz Vizsla. It's got an okay Omicron. I'm able to do great things of Paz Vizsla in territory battles with and without Bo-Katan Mandalore. I don't think it's a worthy investment to put your Omicrons into. If you are going to invest in territory battles, the three pillars I would say is Finn, Rebel Officer Leia Organa, and I think Cal is the best territory battle Omicron. You can literally take any team, any characters, and I've been able to beat massive waves inside of Rise of the Empire. I only have one territory battle Omicron. I have no plans for any others. I don't think they're as worth it, but if there was one, I would recommend Cal. He is literally the best, period, for territory battle Omicron. And then the raids, unfortunately, with the model that we have for the raids moving forward, even though technically Bauschle was fantastic for the crate raid, it's kind of outdated. There's no need to be playing that when you should be playing the speeder bike raid. And speaking of speeder bike raid, yeah, the Scout Trooper's all right. I wouldn't say as transformative Bauschle. I personally have not invested in the Scout Trooper Omicron. I have no plans to. I'm doing perfectly fine without it. My guild's doing perfectly fine. They don't really need it. It's not even a fun Omicron, unlike Bauschleia. So kind of moving forward, I don't know if there's tremendous value in raid Omicron because once the raid goes away, we have a new Naboo raid coming. Scout Trooper Omicron is going to be basically garbage. So again, my urge to CG, let's reduce the cost of raid Omicrons. Maybe make them only 10 cost, or find a way where we can reuse them in the older raids, but we get modern rewards, if that makes any sense, where we kind of cycle through the different raids, so that way we respect the investment into these. Otherwise, a grand majority, whether it's 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, 90-10 split, Grand Arena and Territory Omicrons is where it's at. And that's gonna wrap it up for today, ladies and gentlemen, all you Gungans and droids. I'm looking forward to all the new stuff in 2024. We're getting into the Gungans finally. Boss Nass is looking really interesting. I'm excited for Darth Bane, but until we test them out ourselves, until the Gungans get their full team, we're gonna have to wait and see. So stay tuned till next time, and let's see what the new Omicron ranking will look like then. Leave that like, comment down below, subscribe so you're not missing a thing, and always remember how it's great to be in the Empire today.
The sun never sets.